Cool. So yeah, we can get started. I was at the International Dyslexia Association conference last, what was it, last October, October 2023.
Mhm.
And there were two lovely ladies at the Sortegory booth. And it was a product that was very visual, very appealing, and very, that seemed really kinesthetic and based on the science of reading. So I went to Sheryl and Nancy, and they actually explained what the product
Dr.
was and
Monday.
explained it to me. And that's why I invited them to show their products to the community because it also works really well in the Koala Go co-browser. So Sheryl, Nancy, it's really great to have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was really a highlight of the conference to talk with you about Koala Go because we're learning a whole new world. So it's a win-win. Thank you so much.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Do you mind introducing yourselves and introducing Sortegories to the community?
For sure. How about if I share my screen? We'll let Nancy get started while we're doing that. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Yes, I'm one of the co-authors of Sortegories. And my background is as a special education teacher, administrator, and then curriculum developer. Particularly with an eye to teaching children to read. As you see on the screen, I've been a co-author of language, exclamation, and intervention curriculum. I am the co-author of the Literacy How Professional Learning series with Margie Gillis. And I am actively on the editorial board for Perspectives, that publication from IDA. And also I am on the board for the Connecticut branch of the Reading League. So that's my story. Sheryl, how about you?
Thank you. Yes, my name is Sheryl. I met Nancy, gosh, 20 some years ago in the publishing world when I was learning the language curriculum. And then I was invited to write as part of Nancy's writing team for the language third edition, and eventually wrote with Louisa Moats language on the language live writing team. While all that was going on, 30 years of experience as a special ed teacher and administrator. And I just retired at the end of December and now working Sortegories full time. So we're really happy to be with you here today and share a bit more about Sortegories. So thank you for this invite. It's really a special treat. So I some of our story in that we met in the publishing world, Nancy and we met through the language curriculum, which is published by Voyager, Sopris, Cambium, Lexia. All those people have been all part of their story. And I wrote a book called Sort It, and Nancy wrote a book called Categories, and the publisher said, hey, we want a tech product. Can you put it together? So Sort It and Categories became Sortegories, which we love the name, and it's been playful and fun for 20 years. It's been in the market. It was with Voyager. It was attached to the language curriculum, except for the last 2 years. Nancy and I got our rights back, and we've been self-publishing it. So it was originally intended for older kids, started out on a CD, then it was part of their what they called V-port, but it wasn't available for anyone else unless you were using language. And it was available for older kids. Now it's available for younger kids, and it's available regardless of what tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 product you're using, and that's school jargon. It's also available for tutors, parents, homeschoolers. So our reach is much wider than it was under the publisher of Voyager. So we're happy to be here and happy to make Sortegories more accessible to the science of reading community. So what is Sortegories? What is it exactly? Sortegories is a web-based practice tool for emergent readers. It is meant for really pre-K to 2 at grade level, intervention grades 2 and up, and purposeful practice really for pre-K kids at 4 years old can start sound match, but really K and up for students learning to read. How does Sortegories work? It follows a scope and sequence that's a pretty typical Orton Gillingham type scope and sequence. Our scope and sequence is featured on Reading Rockets because it also includes vocabulary and syntax, which is a little bit rare and unique to us. Sortegories provides vocabulary practice, corrective feedback, and built-in supports, which we will show you. How is Sortegories sold? It is sold for schools, tutors, and parents. And on our website, you'll see monthly and yearly options for 2 users, for 3 to 10 users. And if you have a scenario that is greater than 10, we just invite you to send us an email. We'll customize a quote for you. But it's really for parents, tutors, teachers, homeschoolers, lots of scenarios. Sortegories is aligned with the science of reading. And without getting into the weeds on this slide, what we want you to know is if you're out there and you're tutoring or you're teaching and you're wondering like, how do I know? How do I know which products are aligned when I'm still learning the science? We are on this road to continue our alignment and to get validation, if you will, like the ESSA Level 4 evidence rating, where we have research to support our product. And another example is our alignment with UFly. If you go on the UFly website, you'll see which units in where, if you're in a particular unit in UFly, you'll see where Sortegories aligns.
Well, let me pick up and get into a little bit more about what's underneath the hood of Sortegories. And we have built this product on what we're labeling the word knowledge network, which mainly means that the more we know about a word, the many dimensions in this network, the better reader we're going to become. And so to that end, we are working on phonology, the sounds that make up a word, sound to symbol, the letters that represent those sounds, syllable units, which are our next largest chunk of word with which we can build, semantics, what the words mean, morphology, what happens when we add a prefix or a suffix to the meaning of a word. And importantly, and Sheryl mentioned this, we go to syntax, where we're also interested in developing students' understanding that it depends a lot on the context of a phrase, a clause, a sentence that a word is in for us to know what it means. And underneath each of these areas, you'll see a name of an activity, and those are, in fact, the Sortegories activities, which we're going to show you some of those in just a minute. We're to the point that Sheryl made about the science of reading. A very common way of just talking about this is all of the strands that make up the reading rope. And with Sortegories, we're proud to say that we are dealing both with word recognition and language comprehension every module of our program. And hopefully that'll make sense in a moment. Dale Webster, who is the CAO for CORE, likes this model so much, he's actually included it in their training. So we're trying to get the word out. So back to the what is Sortegories? It is a set of 9 activities. They're organized in 3 rows. The first row focuses on the decoding and encoding. And in terms of the kind of practice it's blocked practice, meaning we're working a lot on a certain number of elements to get to automaticity. Sound Match focuses on initial phoneme identification. Map It is full word segmentation, deletion, manipulation, and Build It is a word chaining activity. And we are going to be showing you some of these activities. Actually, Sheryl and Xavier are going to be doing some of these activities in just a couple minutes. Vocabulary is our second row. So words that are composed of the sounds from that first row are the words that we're going to work on for vocabulary in the second row. And this is interleaving practice, meaning that we're taking parts of what we're learning and we're now using it in a different way to give more and varied practice. Relate It, we're working on relationships, antonyms, synonyms, examples. Categorize It, which was my original baby, was where we sort based on semantic classifications. And analogy building is trying to up the challenge for kids to think about the meaning of these decodable words, but in the form of an analogy. Last row is generalization, and we call it vocabulary in context because what we're talking about in this row or practicing in this row are aspects of words that are greatly impacted or actually impact context. So adding endings to words changes what the text is going to mean. Is it past tense or plural or whatever? Grammar sort, we are function oriented, meaning we don't care as much about emphasizing the grammatical terms, but do you understand what a who is or when information within a phrase or a sentence? And then phrase building is just what it sounds like, which is we're going to build phrases using the words they can decode, and then we find out, do they know what that phrase is telling us, who, when, where, etc. And in that way, we go from sound to text. We do get more difficult in level B, and we have 2 levels available. We are actually working on C as we speak. And in level B, sound match changes so that we're focusing on where we hear the same sound in a word. Build it, we now build by syllable units, not by individual letter sound associations. And in phrase building grows up to be sentence fluency, and we're going to see that activity in a few minutes, so I won't take time to elaborate. Very important, and I think Sheryl mentioned that our activities are based on a scope and sequence. I know this is small, but there are 6 modules per level, and each slice of scope and sequence gets added to the next module, so it's a very cumulative progression. And the way that we use the scope and sequence is we teach those sound spelling associations, we build words, we build phrases, and that is on our way to text. And that is, again, how we get from sound to text. Let me go through and give you a brief description. This activity is one that Sheryl and Xavier are going to demo in a few minutes. This activity, the students listen to a word and then they change the word by dragging and dropping one letter to make a new word, and that is practicing the relationship between phonemic analysis and the letters that represent them. The next row, an example in this row, is categorize it. And I'm going to take time here to show you this activity because we can show you from beginning to end how an activity in Sortegories works, and then that style applies across the board. So here we go. I'm going to be the actual student in this case.
Sortegories.
Level A. Categorize it. First, an important question: dogs or cats?
Now, this is an important question, and I'm going to choose dogs because I'm partial to dogs, but this becomes the motivator throughout, and you'll see more about that in just a few minutes.
First, select the audio icons to listen to each category: animals, names, and neither. Then, drag the words that appear here to the correct category. At any time, you may move words from one category to another. When no more words appear, click Submit to check your answer. You can use this icon at the top to view an example, or use the glossary icon to see pictures and meanings for the words in this activity. For example, drag the first word to the correct category and drop it. Now do the same for the second word. At any time, you can move words from one category to another. Repeat until no more words appear. Click Submit to check your answer. Words in the correct category will appear in blue. Words in red are not in the correct category. Don't worry, you'll have a second try to get as many words correct as you can. Now it's your turn. Put each word in the correct category.
Now, I'm going to actually do the activity. A couple things in case you're wondering. That whole set of directions that we just listened to is you can listen to as many times as you need, but if you know what to do, you can click a skip button and you can move right into the activity once you know how to do it. The words in boxes like this down at the bottom of the screen are decodable based on the scope and sequence. If the words are not decodable, then we have an audio icon so that kids can
Animals.
hear those words that they would not know how to decode. So I'm going to quickly do this activity. I'm going to make some mistakes. Don't panic that I don't know how to know what these words mean, but I want to show you a few things because I make some mistakes. So you're see if you agree with me on these. I'll move that one over here. Okay, I'm going to hit submit.
Good try. Words in blue are in the right category. Try again with the words in red.
Now, what I'd like to show is that I made a mistake. I didn't know the word. I put it in the wrong category. Perhaps I don't know what it means. So that is where we have a glossary here in the upper. Whoops, I have to hit try again first. There we go. And
select a word to see and hear the definition.
so we've built in a glossary where if I missed this word, I read it as cats. And
Cast, a stiff bandage for a broken bone.
so we provide a visual and a spoken definition to help kids who might know that. I also put this in the wrong.
Mat, a small piece of carpet for the floor.
That's because I thought it was the name Matt, but oh, here it is again.
Mat, a name.
So the glossary is a tool. That's one of the many tools that we've built into Sortegories to provide helpful information. So now that I know what's right here, I'm going to move cast over here. I'm going to get Matt. It's not a name. Cab, I'm not sure what I was thinking. Hit submit.
Great job. All 10 words are correct. Wonderful. You earned a ribbon.
And you get a ribbon in Sortegories for mastery level performance, 10, 9, or 8%, different color ribbons for each level of performance.
Click a pet to feed it. When you are done, click continue.
And here, this ties back to choosing a cat or dog. I'm going to feed the animals. I can also feed all of them at once. You get to feed the number of animals for the correct number of responses. So even if you don't get a ribbon, you get to feed animals.
Here are your results.
This is a printable screen so that you can save the information or print, screenshot it and save the information for your students.
Thank you. For every 10,000 points scored on Sortegories, we will make a donation to feed rescue animals. The more points you earn, the more we can help together.
And
Click replay.
And that is our larger mission, is to be working towards a larger goal than just doing well on my own. So, and kids tend to like that. So that is categorize it. Oops.
Nancy, before moving on, can we address a question in the chat?
Sure, I didn't see it. So
That's
sure.
okay. It's the question is specific to categorize it. And it says, what about multiple meanings of the word like bat?
Okay, that's a great question. That word bat may come up in a different sort with a different meaning. We also have in other activities where, for example, grammar sort has the word bat, and we actually have it in the category that it could be either a naming word or an action word. So we are very conscious of driving kids' attention to multiple meanings. That's a great question, and we've tried to do as much as we can about that. Does that help?
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
All right.
There was a couple other questions. Is there, let me start with this one. Does the tutor decide level and activities?
Does the computer know?
The
This is
tutor.
Does the tutor, the tutor, yes, the tutor is the one in control. For example, it is possible for you to only want to do row 2 activities. You don't have to go through in order from the first one to the last. This is very prescriptive as a tutor. If you only need to work on certain parts of what Sortegories is doing, you can go deep in one activity, or you can go through in the order that they're laid out in the grid. They do get more difficult from left to right in each row. So we suggest if you're using them that you use them in that order, but it's all driven by teachers. And it's also 2 more important points. One, kids can do these over and over. So if you do it once with them, you could assign it to them to do it again alone. Depending on the licensing, they can also take it and practice it at home, do it again on their own without your tutorial, you being the tutor and involved. So there's a lot of flexibility, which we'd like to think is a strength of Sortegories. Does that help?
I think so. And is there a diagnostic assessment?
Sheryl, you want to hit that one?
For sure. So in our user's guide, there's suggestions on how to start students. You can start right from the very beginning, especially with the littles. You can also, you can also use diagnostic assessments that you already have and place them into Sortegories the way you use your data. For those of you that might be working on IEP goals as tutors or helping teachers with IEP goals, there's sample IEP goals written in there as well that help you work backwards, if you will. But there's a spelling inventory that allows you to give the spelling test very short and place them into the first row according to the errors that they make. We also have mastery assessments along the way that will help you continue to monitor spelling, because spelling is a window into phonology and fluency. So we have some diagnostics built in as well.
Got it. And last question, will this be available in Spanish?
Not yet. That is all those extra things. And I say extra because we're still in development. We're working on level C. We definitely have a running list of things that people have requested, including Spanish and French. So those are on the list of questions if it's possible, but we hear you. We hear you.
No, and it's heartening to think that it might be helpful.
Yes, I love it. Yes.
Yeah. All right. If that's okay, we'll move on. We have here, this is the analogy building, and I think in the interest of time, since we've had some great questions, I'm going to not do this, but the gist of it is we are looking for the relationship between the stem, then one of the words will answer the relationship. The help, in this case, that little question mark in the corner, is going to provide a hint so that we think this is a really important activity for a lot of oral language conversation around the meaning of the word. So whoever asked the question about multiple meanings, this is a place where that can really come into play. Then the last activity, in both levels A and B have to do with words in a context. In level A, we're building a phrase. As it indicated here, we drag and drop words to build a phrase. Then once we have that phrase, we determine what information is it telling us. Is it telling us who or what, or I think my thing is blocked where. Then in the second level B, we bump this up and we start with decodable sentences. And this time we're underlining phrases, and students are going to determine what is that phrase or which phrase is answering a question. Then we assemble those sentences and we look for the topic. And I'm not going to spend more time on this because this is one of the activities that Sheryl's going to demonstrate in just a moment. But the idea of this activity is for us to get to syntax, and all of this is decodable that we're having the students read at this point. So I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen and switch over to Sheryl.
What we'd like to do now is answer any questions again, pause, but I love that they're coming in at point of use. And then we're going to switch over to Koala Go and demonstrate a couple activities. Oh, Emily has a question. Yes, Emily.
in your website, it says for one user, two users, and etc. What is a user? Is that the tutor or is that the student?
Yes, that's a great question. So the user in a tutoring situation is both. The tutor needs a license and the student needs a license, unless if you have the student, you want to go into the students and see their data, you could just have student licenses. But the only way for a tutor to use it as a teaching tool and keep the students' data clean is to everybody have their own license. And then students would be assigned to you as the teacher, and then you will have it for instructional purposes, and then their data will all be separate. So a tutor does require a teacher license, a license, and the students require a license. Other questions?
Well, there is one in the chat, and it has to do with font. And in answer to that, at this point, there are not font options. The one that we actually use several different font styles depending on the activity. Okay.
Anything else before we go into a tutoring situation? We teased during the prep that Xavier was going to be the teacher, and he said, "No, you're the teacher." And I feel like I'm the learner because I'm learning Koala Go. So I'm happy to do this with you all.
Perfect. So yes, and I think there's maybe a couple people who don't know what Koala Go is. So
Oh,
Koala Go
yes.
and we have a separate event where we will be showing Koala Go. Right now, we're almost assuming that everybody knows what Koala Go is, but Koala Go is an alternative to Zoom, to make it simple, to teach kids online, kids and adults online. So right now, Koala Go has many tools, but we're mostly going to focus on this tool that you open by clicking on this icon, which is the co-browser. So you go here and you see on the left, you have Sheryl and myself. I'm going to open the co-browser, and we're going to use open Sortegories from the co-browser. So maybe
we're just going to go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Sheryl. Oh no,
We're just going to go to
I'll let you take over.
sortegories.com.
Sounds good. So this works like a regular browser, right? You can just you can just Google things like Sortegories, and then you'll easily find the website.
And then you can do this at home at your leisure as well, but we're on our website and we're going to go to where it says try Sortegories. And under try Sortegories, you can go into any activity and get a short sample of every activity. So we're going to go into level A first, and then scrolling down, and we're going to go into build it. Yep, right there. Perfect.
Sortegories.
So this is the introduction that we can click through.
Level A. Build it.
Build It uses phonics knowledge to chain and blend words. In part 1 of Build It, build a series of words by changing one sound. This is called chaining. In part 2, listen and repeat a sequence of sounds. Blend the sounds and select the word. Before you try it, click here to see an example. When you are ready, click Try It.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Okay. It's a lot of pressure on me.
Change dim to dig.
So
Okay.
in this case, Xavier is the student, and he's going to change dim to dig, and I'm just going to encourage him along because we've learned all of these sounds and all of these letters at this point. So now we're just going to see if we can apply it to build some words.
All right. So I drag the G and submit.
Correct. And then you'll notice on the bottom, there's 4
Build
dots.
rig.
Yes, Xavier is excited. You will see 10 box in the full sample. My granddaughter loves those little dots, and she counts them and she wiggles in her seat as those dots move to 10. She gets very excited. Okay, Xavier's a little advanced. He's doing very well.
Change rig to big.
He's changing rig to big. And he got a little mistake.
Oops. Click try
Oops.
again.
So depending on my work with Xavier, I might say, what is the first sound in that word that you
J.
built? Oh, okay. And so we want, now I forgot it. So, because I'm doing too many things.
We want
I know,
big.
Emily, you're like, I so feel you, right? That happens all the time, right? Because you're thinking about what the student just did. So I can click on this. Oh, so you're hearing the sound. So I really, sometimes the kids might get confused between the B and the P. So I might just review these sounds with Xavier because I have worked with him before and he might have avoided the whole BP thing because he's like, I'm not even sure. So I might just review this with Xavier first. Tell me the sound, Xavier. So I'm going to review the sounds. And what is this sound, please?
B.
Nice. And this sound is?
P.
And let's review the sound, the word we're looking for.
Big.
In that word. And now try again.
I think it's this one.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, I
try.
need to click
Can
on
you drag
try
it for
again.
us?
Change rig to big.
Nice. Now, in some teacher talk, in some activities, you'll see a little timer and you'll know that the activity is
Change
timed
big to bag.
because you'll get a fluency score and an accuracy score. And that's how you'll know if you're coming up on time. So now you're going to change big to bag. We've taught short A and short I, and Xavier was very quick in getting that correct. Nice work.
Now it's your turn. Repeat and blend. Ig.
So now you're taking the sounds that you've already used to build words and we're doing the opposite and we want to blend sounds to make words. And look at the timer in the right-hand corner. Our time ran out because we're too busy talking, but that's okay. You can still get an accuracy score.
D. E. G.
Say it faster.
D. E. G.
Nice. One more time, even faster.
D. E. G.
Okay, we're getting there, right? And now hit submit. And I know that I can do that because the timer ran out. So we know that he has not orthographically mapped
Repeat
that
and
word,
blend.
but it's okay. With extra
Ah.
practice, he will. Sorry. Okay.
I have no clue what the word is. I didn't hear.
That's okay because I was talking. My fault.
Repeat and blend. Add.
Add.
Repeat and blend. Oh, it.
Oh, it. Gotta go fast.
Repeat and blend. Oh, add. Good work.
Okay, nice work. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to, I'm still on the website, so anybody can do this at home. We're going to hop over to level B and we're going to go all the way down. Phrase fluency, phrase building goes up to sentence fluency. And notice that Xavier and I, for our Sortegories people that don't know Koala Go yet, are both using the browser. We don't have to share we're not going back and forth.
In sentence fluency, students focus on two skills. First, students identify the meaning of a part of a sentence. Next, they identify the topic of decodable nonfiction text. These skills contribute to reading fluency and comprehension. A visual explanation, available here, helps students understand the meaning of a phrase. Click here for help reading longer words. Before you try it, click here to see an example. When you are ready, click Try It.
Okay. So we are ready.
What word or phrase answers did what?
So before we begin teacher talk, I want our listeners to know that all of these words are decodable. What students may not know is how to answer the question, did what? That might be the new concept. So if I know that students are not there yet and I'm teaching this, I might go automatically to the help.
Select a question.
Here are my options. I can pre-teach did what.
Did what? Did what tells us the action the thing or object did. The dog ran. Did what? It ran.
Now I can close that. We can
What
revisit.
word or phrase answers did what?
And we're concentrating on did what. So now Xavier is my student. He's going to read this aloud since I'm working with him. If he was by himself, he might be reading it to himself.
Make nests.
Yep. And that's great, Xavier. And I'm not going to have you do this now, but I would have you read the whole thing and a whole sentence. And I would also have him say, concentrate on the underlines as scoops, if you will. And it would sound like this. Animals, other than birds, make net. Oh, that's a mistake. Make nests as their homes. And then he chose make nests. And then you can hit submit.
What word or phrase answers where?
So if I didn't know where, I could hit the question mark. I also want to show you another feature, and that is if you're having trouble with
Select
any of
an
the
option.
decoding,
What is
maybe
schwa? What is a syllable? Longer words.
maybe Xavier is avoiding reading the whole sentence because he's still having a little bit of trouble, and we know that he's having trouble reading longer words, and that's why he kind of
Reading
avoided it.
longer words. To read longer words, it helps to look for the vowel spellings. Each vowel spelling indicates a part you can read. Fan, pass, tick, fantastic. Sometimes syllables are also meaning units. Looking for meaning units like ing, ed, or est can also help break longer words into parts. Smell, ing, smelling. In, vent, ed, invented.
So and that's where the question came in, like, will the tutor decide
What word or phrase answers where?
When working with students, you will know whether you're going to hit the question mark or whether you're going to hit that bubble because they need some decoding trouble. So in this case, we're going to answer where, and I'm Xavier, do you want to try that one?
Under logs or rocks.
Nice. And then you would hit submit.
Mammals, such as mice and skunks, build nests under logs or rocks.
So I like the way you read in phrases. Nice work.
What word
Thank you.
or phrase answers what did it?
Oh, so Xavier, so I should have done that as your teacher, right? I could have done that, but I'm still learning Koala Go. So for the new people to Koala Go, we can have some rewards in between. Thanks for reminding me of that, Xavier. That was fun to see that. Xavier, can you give yourself a reward like that as a student?
No, but right now we're flipped. I'm actually technically the teacher and you're technically
Right,
the
I
student.
just wondered if they could do that. Okay, they can't.
I'm
Okay,
I'm just going to treat myself to nonstop
love
rewards.
that you did that. Very good. Okay, so what did it on this one? I'm going to treat yourself to the answer so we can move along. Nice work. This is what I want you to see.
Read the sentences. Then click on a tile that tells who or what the three sentences are about.
So in this case, we have the sentences that we've already analyzed. Tutors and teachers know that many times we go to paragraph comprehension when our students don't have sentence level comprehension. So we have worked on sentence level comprehension, also the syntax of those sentences already. Now we've combined those sentences to make a nonfiction decodable paragraph that we can ask about the topic. If we don't know how to teach topic or the students don't know.
Select an option.
we can pre-teach with some help.
The topic is what all of the sentences are about. The topic is a word or substitute that is repeated. Birds make nests. They are made of twigs and sticks. Nests hold eggs. The topic of these sentences is nests. They is a substitute for nests. A repeated word is another way to identify the topic.
So those pronoun reference like they, very difficult for English learners, as you know, very difficult for students with dyslexia.
Read
And
the sentences. Then click on a tile that tells who or what the three sentences are about.
so in this case, we know that the topic sentence is what the paragraph is mostly about. So in a classroom situation, tutoring situation, I would have the student read the whole thing, and then we would talk about the topic. Xavier, you can handle this any way you wish.
Animals other than birds make nests as their homes. Mammals, such as mice and skunks, build nests under logs or rocks. Some reptiles make nests next to the water so their eggs are safe until they hatch. So I have some reptiles here. I have some mice and skunks. So I have some mammals here. So I'm going to go with animal nests.
Yes, so that is great. And notice, Xavier, yes, I would, if I was more adept, I would be giving you cheers like that. Yes. Notice the words in green now. All of those words are confirming that you got the answer right and why you got it correct. All of those words are referring back to animal nests using different words. Okay. So nice work. We'll hit continue there. And we don't need this. Good work. So folks at home, again, I just want to show you where we are. We are under try Sortegories. You can go to A or B. You can get a video of all the activities, the introductions that we have for A or B. If you want to know pricing for schools, tutors, and that, it's at this red button, and more information is under here. So I think that we can stop sharing here, pause for questions, and just finish the PowerPoint real quick. Thank you, Xavier, for being a great student.
You're welcome.
And we did have a couple more questions, and I'm going to try to do the impossible here, which is do two things at once. There we go. And that one question was from Megan about, is there something like this? I'm assuming for older students, adults, perhaps. First of all, I think there are a lot of features in Sortegories that would be excellent. Remember, Sortegories got its start for older students, so I still think that it's relevant. The other source that you may already know about would be to go to the International Dyslexia Association website, because they have a great deal of information for different populations. So those would be my off the top of my head answers. The other question was, on that last activity, or maybe it's a general question, can you change the background color or the fonts? The short answer there is no, not at this time. Sheryl.
Yes, so thank you for that. So again, what makes us different? I think what we started talking about earlier by answering your questions is that it's prescriptive. The teacher, the tutor makes the decision based on what you know about the student, what data that you have. And if you don't have data, because sometimes you just meet students, you don't have a lot of background information, you can use the tools that Sortegories has to offer to get students started. But it is based on the science of reading and the science of learning, built-in help for you, for the student, for the teachers. Ideally, you're using it and the teachers are using it, so it's seamless. They're using the same thing at school at home. I know that's not always perfect, but it's going to save people time. It's going to save tutors time for prepping. It's going to save teachers time. It's actually going to help the student Because what's in a tutoring situation, if they have their own license at home, then maybe they see you Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they're doing working on Sortegories for just 10 to 15 minutes. It's that space practice that's going to help bring our kids to mastery. So students will learn to use the help during your tutoring, and then they can also then know to go to that help for independent practice. And the best 3-letter word that we keep hearing from students and teachers over and over cannot be underscored, and that's fun. We just hear from teachers, students, feedback, parents that this is fun for kids. And as you know, many students in our population are frustrated and they're struggling, and maybe they're lacking the fun piece. So
And if you
that's
can
what makes
throw
us different.
And if you can throw confetti by using this in Koala Go, that even makes it more fun.
It's double the fun.
Double the
Double the
fun.
fun. I love that ad. Thanks, Nancy.
Oh, sorry, I'm clicking, right? Forgot.
And as I shared, I had the pleasure of writing with Louisa Motes, and the double pleasure of having her review Sortegories for us. Let's hear what she has to say.
Get to where I can click it. Here we go.
Nancy, it's just so great the way you and Sheryl have integrated these layers of language into all of these activities. So it's just so much more than basic decoding. And that's exactly what we've always needed, not to have this artificial separation among the aspects of language that kids need to know. And it's just so beautiful what you've done. Thank you.
And then?
So we have had input from lots of literacy heroes, literacy leaders in the field, Louisa Motes being one of them, Dr. Ferrero being the other. And he's really was so appreciative of what Sortegories brings to the table, or the screen as it may be, for English learners. They do need the decoding, but they also need it, the application of that to vocabulary and syntax. So he was so thrilled, and to watch him at our breakfast, like feeding the cat, it was just, or the dog, I think he chose, was pretty special. That would have been worth videoing. But anyway, we appreciate having feedback. What are others saying? Nancy Hennessy, it's fun. And we have lots of others that are sharing with us. It's smart, it's socially conscious, it benefits English learners. It's more than decoding. And that's really one of the takeaways, whether you engage, you purchase Sortegories or not, is if you are someone who's out there learning the science of reading is more than decoding. And that's a really big deal for us to get that word out. And we're trying to be part of that solution as well. So I want to say that I feel like this is kind of a part one, right? On March 13th at 7 o'clock, we're going to come together again, and we're going to be inviting the Sortegories community to join Koala Go. So if that's something, but we would love the Koala Go people to join us again. It won't be the same presentation. It's going to be part 2, if you will, with an emphasis on Koala Go. And the QR code is in the upper right-hand corner. As advertised, we do have a free month, the first month free. Oops, one backup. One second, extra time to get those QR codes. The green QR code is for the free trial. So it's the code is free trial. It's really the first month free of Sortegories. And as I was saying to Xavier, you're going to, we'll send you an email with the directions, but you're going to put in your purchase information, and you can feel free to cancel after the first month. And there's directions right upon purchase on how to cancel. And if you have trouble canceling, we'll cancel it for you. So there's no trouble in getting that cancellation to occur. So those are the 2 QR codes that you may be interested in. Anything you want to add, Xavier, about March 13th?
The March 13th event will be mostly for people who know about Sortegories but don't know about Koala. So if that feels like this is your case, your profile today, please go ahead and join us in the top right. But if you already know Koala Go, this is not necessarily the best event for you.
Good clarification. Emily is asking a great question. She has 15 to 18 students, and the numbers change. How do you price for multiple students and varying numbers? So That's a good question, and it's a little bit fluid. So we do have several tutors that are reaching higher and higher numbers with their tutoring students. So we would work with you on that, but basically on the website, you can purchase up to 10. So we would work with you to individualize and fluctuate. We can't fluctuate it weekly, but we could help you fluctuate it monthly, perhaps, in terms of how to get that going. So that's where the custom quote situation comes in, because that can't be handled quite as well online. What I can tell you is, let's say you purchase 10 online, 10 licenses online, and then the next month you're going to add 3 more. You can go right online, you can add your 3 more, and then just email us and say, please add to Emily, and then we will add those students to your classroom. So there is a way of you adding yourself without even calling us, and you just go to that page and we will add it. We just need a little help to get you started if you're over 10. Any other questions? Hopefully you got that QR code that will come in the show notes as well. This information will repeat for you. So if you're having trouble with those QR codes, we'll help you out with it.
Cheryl, can I read to
Yes.
you the question from Megan?
Yes, for sure. I missed it.
From what you've shared, Sortegories is targeting K-12 learners. I am contacted regularly by dyslexic adults asking if there's a program or website for them. Knowing your experience and background, I was wondering if you know of any program or resources specifically geared towards adults who may not have the money or time to hire a certified dyslexia tutor.
I started to answer that earlier and said that Sortegories could be something useful for older learners, dyslexics. And I also suggested the IDA website. Sheryl, maybe you have some other thoughts.
No, I was just combing through. It is an area that isn't tapped very well in terms of that. No, but if you send us an email,
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I'm not really coming up with them. I do agree with Nancy. I taught high school students grades 9 through 12, and then more recently grades 9, and honoring their age. The only thing I would not use in Sortegories with older students is Sound Match Level A. That's the only one I wouldn't use. And the reason is because it uses pictures. I would skip that. The rest of it, I find that the older students, and I'm talking high school, I find that they're so excited to be learning and to understand it. I did use Sortegories, previous editions, with high school students, and they never complained about it. So Sound Match Level A, I'd skip because it might insult them. That's the only one. Any videos we can review if you're new to Koala Go and Sortegories? There's a video already in our invitation notes, but we have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is not only good to use to learn Sortegories, it's good to learn the science of reading. We're really part of that mission that we want teachers, tutors, parents, homeschool parents to learn more about the science of reading so that we're not wasting our time and our kids' time. So going to the Sortegories YouTube channel and hit the playlist, there's playlists there, and hit webinars, you'll see a lot of good learning. And
specifically, there is one that's an overview, and it walks you through what you can get off of the website and how it's different from the information in the learning management system, which is where students would actually be using Sortegories when they have a license.
And we'll include that in the show notes as well.
Absolutely. And I see, Xavier, you put Koala Go link in there, chat.
Right. Yeah, I included a little video that's good for those getting started with Koala.
Thank you. And I'll include that in our show notes as well.
Great.
Any other questions?
By the
I
way,
think this was our
recording...
last slide, Nancy, I think.
It was, and I'm just going to
Okay.
stop sharing. And anybody have any other questions? Just speak up or put it in chat.
And you have, for those of you who could only attend part of this session, you can find a recording in our Facebook group and I'll paste the link of our Facebook group in the chat.
I'm just thinking of practically, I would not spend $10 times, 15 students per month plus myself per month for the activities. But I would consider, if I had the license, could I use it with my students, one license with my students in Koala Go? And then for those who are willing to work at home, because, in tutoring, we can say your kids need to read, your kids need to do things at home. But if the parents can say, oh, here's something that you can buy as a parent for $15 a month, that gives them extra practice. Could I do that? Could I have one license for myself and then recommend that my students get licenses?
Absolutely. We
Definitely.
have some tutors who do purchase them under their tutoring, and whether they charge the parents for that or not, I don't know. But we also have tutors that are purchasing it for themselves and then offering it to their parents to purchase it if they wish. So we really have that going on both ways. It just depends on your population and what your need is, Emily. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's really flexible in that way.
And it's a good idea.
And if I had a license for myself and I recommend to the parents, hey, if you're willing to do this, this is a very inexpensive option for you to get extra practice, would I be able to see what my students
Yes, you
do?
would log in as
Go ahead.
no. Okay, I'm going to back up my answer. Two ways. One way is to log in as them when you see them and you can see their data. But the other way would be to send us an email with the parent's permission, maybe include the parent on it and say, I am David's tutor. I'm Xavier's tutor. Please assign David or Xavier to my class. And that would take an extra step, but we could do that as well. Who pays for the license doesn't dictate whether you see their data or not. We have to link you though, because there's no other way. There's no way for us to see that data, for you to see that data, unless you log in as them, which is also possible. It's pretty flexible in terms of how it's used, how it's purchased, because everybody's scenario is so different.
Any other questions?
There was actually a question in the Facebook chat. Let me see if I can find it. It was asking what was the best recommended plan for tutors. Is it the small group plan? Is that what you would recommend?
Yes, the small group plan. So if you were tutoring 3 students, you would need 4 licenses unless you want to log in as each student to see their data. Small group plan is where to go. You would hit the red bar on the website page, and then we'll go to the purchase page.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sheryl. Thank you so much, Nancy. And thank you, everyone. It was super helpful.
Thank you for your questions along the way. It really is helpful. Thank you so much.
It was fun. And see you soon on the March 13th event.
Sounds great.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great day. Bye.